This scattered lighting effect behind me is generated by something called Eflect. It's a bendable, warpable, multi-mirror reflector that you can get various scattered lighting effects with. We have large and small size. The large is 18 by 18 inch, the small size is 8 by 8 inch. We've had them in silver, we've had them in gold. So Dedolight's created a few new sizes and a few new finishes which reflect some really interesting colors. And this video is going to go over those new sizes and those new scattered lighting effects. The first one I want to tell you about is this beast right here. This is Eflect XL. Of course, you have to get bigger and better. This is 31 by 31 inches. And to give those of you who already know Eflect a scale on that, this is, again, the 18 by 18 that you all have known for quite some time. And this is the 8 by 8 inch small. So this is the initial family here that we're going to be talking about. And our tiny new friend for most commercial work and table talk, a 7 by 10 centimeter Eflect reflector as well. Eflect XL is going to come in the typical silver and gold small grid and large grid that some of you may know. But now we're also introducing some new colors. Dedolight is coming out with something called tropical colors. Those finishes are in orange and blue. Now, we're calling this tropical orange because of the hue that the color has by just looking at the surface of the reflector. Don't let that fool you. There's almost like a kind of dichroic effect that takes place even though this is bouncing off of this surface. The returns that this reflector are going to give you are in the greens and blues and aquas, and is also responsible for the scattered lighting effect that is currently behind me right now. So this is tropical orange in small grid. So with tropical orange, you're going to generate blues, greens, and aqua. And you can increase the green by minimizing the angle, or you can increase the blues by increasing the angle. Next on the tropical list is tropical blue. Once again, don't be fooled. Although the surface of this reflector looks blue, it returns auburns, reds, yellows, and golds, and it's really unique in its return. Tropical blue, you're going to be looking at a change from red auburn to yellow green. We've got blends. So that's going to put silver and gold together, large grid and small grid. And you're going to get various looks out of this. They're not going to necessarily be light gold, but they are going to have overlapping characteristics of silver and gold. And close up like this is really where you see a large bokeh lens flare effect using a circular light source. Larger mirrors means larger individual returns. And finally, because we have those two tropical tones, we have to make a tropical blend. Now, this thing is going to give you cosmic looking returns, something that looks like a nebula, something that you would see in astral art or recreations of astronomical photography. This has such a unique blend that there's nothing else like it on the market. So what I've done here is I've put a Dedolight DP400 projector with a gobos setup, and I put in typical household shutter blades as the gobo, which is something you can get in any gobo kit. And what I'm doing here is just proving that you don't need to necessarily use a single spotlight. You can use patterns to create totally new effects. You can think outside the box with Eflect, and you can get various looks other than just scattered light through a tree, let's say. In this case, I'm just using a typical shutter gobo, something that you'll probably find in any gobo kit. And I'm just taking advantage of making lots of different lines in a certain scattered pattern that totally abstracts its original use. With this, I'm using an actual Cucoloris gobo into an 8x8 small grid reflector. This is a little tip about Eflect that I like to tell my clients. When you get it, it's going to be very flat and kind of rigid. You'll see that it has obviously not been used, and you have to start working on it, because when you're using Eflect, I like to tell people that the more you use it, the more you bend it and warp it and manipulate it, the more nasty it gets on the surface, the more you have little squares that start popping up that you need to either stick back in place or you just lose altogether, the better the quality of the look gets. It's kind of like cooking in a cast iron pot. The more you use the pot, the better the stew. So when you first get Eflect, I want you to take it out and start, bending it and warping it and manipulating it and making little pock marks in it, and starting around the brace here, the bracket that you're going to actually use as a mounting point. This is riveted, so you don't want to bend it right around that, or else that could pop off. What you want to do is just start using your thumb to start creating like little pock marks around there and move out from the center and just start really manipulating, bending, and warping and making a really fine stew. It almost looks like a digital projection, so if you just go like this and like this, you can see like a film passing in front of, you know what I mean? The beam angle coming out of this 185mm lens from the DP400 is about 17 degrees, but it's an even smaller fine point light source than the actual light head itself, so we can use a small reflector to get a pretty big result. Okay, we're good to go. That's fine.